For the first time this year. Welcome to the Medium in the Middle podcast. I'm your host, Stephanie, the Medium in the Middle. On this podcast, I share my journey as a developing psychic medium, as a Reiki master teacher, as an Akashic record practitioner, and anything else that's thrown my way. Hello, everybody. Happy New Year. Welcome to 2023. My name is Stephanie. I am the Medium in the Middle, and this is the first podcast of the new year. I actually went to go record this podcast yesterday, but my microphone wasn't working properly, and when I plugged it into my other computer, it was working, but when I plugged it into my laptop, it wasn't working, and I tried like 6 or 7 times for an hour. And I was like, oh no, is this how the new year is going to start with my equipment malfunctioning? But I just had a feeling that I shouldn't record, and you need to trust those feelings. And I had a feeling to wait, and I was like, okay, why am I waiting till tomorrow? And today, sure enough, I restarted my computer, and then I plugged in my microphone, and ba-bam. Everything's working fine, as if nothing was even a glitch yesterday. So really trust those small nudges. You never know why, but I know why. So later on last night when I was having a shower before bed, I changed what I'm going to talk about today. So originally I was going to talk about Reiki, and I got this really good question about Reiki, and I was like, ooh, that's a good way to start the new year. And then when I was in the shower last night, I was like, oh no, I need to tell a story I've never told before. And I've made a podcast episode the first time. If you've been around since episode 1, you know. And then I made a podcast episode, what happened before the first time. But I've never talked about what happened before. My very first experience with spirit, but I didn't know it was at the time. Obviously, we never do. So I'm going to talk about that today. If you are a new listener jumping in and you haven't listened to these episodes and you're curious, episode 1 of Medium in the Middle was the first time. And that's where I talk about my first experience with spirit. So my first time ever channeling, obviously before I knew I was channeling. And then in episode 6, I talk about what happened before the first time. So I go into detail about all the little signs from spirit that started to kind of peek in. If you are a new listener jumping in, I tell my story from episode 1, and I literally tell you step by step of what's been going on. Obviously now we're over 3 years later, over 150 episodes, so I don't expect you to go and listen to 150 episodes, but episode 1 through 10 are the bangers. So I would definitely recommend those ones, especially if you're developing and you're looking for help or feeling like you're not alone. I find those episodes hit people where like, oh my gosh, that happened to me. I also experienced this, and it's very relatable so that you know that you're not the only one that can talk to the dead, because I know when I first started this, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm the only one on the whole earth that can do this. I'm so alone. We think these things when we're new and learning. It's totally normal. So if you're wondering what took me 150 episodes to finally tell this story, it is a very personal story, which you are going to hear soon. And for me, if I can't change some details about the story to make it less personal, or if I can't adjust who it's happening to again to make it less personal, then I usually have to wait a certain amount of time. There's a lot of stories that I would love to tell, but it's like too soon, too close. The wound is still open. And this is one of those stories, and when I tell it, you'll understand. But I also wanted to share, I've been getting a lot of requests for more mediumship stories on the podcast, and I still have had spirit coming in and popping into my sessions sometimes. I do have a very strong boundary that spirit can't come in, but it has been happening more in person, to be honest, than distance. Spirit never comes in Akashic Records or PSYCH-K sessions, but Reiki is an easy one. So usually my boundaries are pretty strong. I don't do mediumship readings, so I don't let spirit sneak in. But when it's been happening in person, it's been very, very intimate and very serious. I don't know if I want to say. Like, they're hard stories to tell when you're dealing with passing and loss and trauma, and it's hard. So, although I have these amazing, beautiful stories, I don't feel comfortable sharing them on a podcast when they're very personal and very intimate stories. Again, if I can change, who it's about or some details about the story to kind of lessen the impact, I will. But these ones are so massive that I'm like, I can't even tell the story or it's gonna, be a little wild and crazy. So that's why I've really pumped the brakes on the mediumship stories, because I have strong boundaries. I'm not doing mediumship readings, so I don't. And I very rarely let spirits sneak in. Like, they have to be pretty strong. Because if I wanted to do mediumship readings, I would offer mediumship readings. And if someone's looking for a mediumship reading, I want to be very clear that I am not your person. Go book a mediumship reading and get what you want. So I really wanted to get rid of people booking with me and hoping that spirit would come through. If you're one of those people, what you actually want is a mediumship reading. I just wanted to talk about that because although spirit is still in my life and they still sneak in and I still get messages all the time, I feel like it's getting more serious, more life-changing, more impactful, kind of like bigger messages. And yeah, it's harder to share those really serious stories on the podcast. If it's a light and fun one, I will always share it. But if it's a serious one, I also want to respect people's privacy and their loss. We're dealing with a very serious thing when it comes to mediumship and the loss of a loved one. So always trying to remember that and being sensitive to that. It's important. Okay, before I keep chit-chatting, I do have a few announcements for you for the new year. Reiki trainings are popping off. If you are waiting for Reiki Level 1, the next Reiki Level 1 is in March. January and February are sold out, my friends. If you don't already follow me on Instagram at Medium in the Middle, follow me over there because I post everything to my stories, and all of my story watchers always get first dibs on anything I am selling before it sells out. And while I'm on the topic of Instagram, I only have one account, at Medium in the Middle. I will never DM you. If you received a message saying that I had a message for you, or I wanted to give you a reading, or my star seed, you have been selected, please know it was a scammer. It was not me. I will never DM you first. And my only account is at Medium in the Middle. The scammers are out there, so just really be discerning. No real business will ever message you for money. That doesn't even make sense. I have a website. I have booking links. Everything is done through my website. I will never ask you to PayPal me, Venmo me, send money to a random email address. Absolutely not. You're going to pay with your credit card on my secured site. If you received any messages, please know it was a scammer. My two announcements are the next Reiki Level 1. Reiki Level 1, if you want to learn Reiki, as Reiki is calling your name and you're like, new year, new healing me, I want to learn. The next one's in March, my friends. March 11th and 12th. They're 2-day trainings, Saturday and Sunday. You are learning Asui Reiki, and you will know if Reiki's calling your name. You'll know if this weekend is for you. You'll know if you should sign up. You'll know if it feels right. So trust your intuition on this, because I trust your intuition, knowing when you should take your course. I never want anyone to feel rushed. I do trainings monthly. There will be one for you. So if March doesn't work for you, there will be one in April. I think April's very busy, but there will be one, if not May. So just see what resonates with you and see what you're feeling. When Reiki is calling your name, you'll know. You'll be like, I don't know why, but I have to sign up for this training. And then if you are one of my Reiki Level 1 students, your next Reiki Level 2 option is February 25th and 26th. I'll leave all the links down below for you for that. And the next exciting thing is I'm going to be launching a business mastermind, which I think I'm going to call Business in the Middle, because how cute. And this is for people who have a spiritual business and you want to grow it. So that means you have a website, you are taking clients regularly, you are making money, you are trading for your full price. If you are at that stage, something is coming for you. Unfortunately, I'm not doing building a business. I know I got a lot of feedback on that. I do a lot of building businesses in my mentorship one-on-one because I feel like that needs a little bit one-on-one attention. But once we're growing and scaling, that can definitely be done in group settings. So if you're interested in that, you can email me to get on the wait list. But I will be launching that within the week and there'll be limited spots, but I'm very excited. This is going to be a version of Meeting in the Middles, a monthly meeting, but it's for growing your business. So moving into the first card pull of the year. So when I was looking at my decks, I have a drawer of my decks. I was like, ooh, I should do my OG, Call It Baron Reed, Enchanted Map Deck. And I was like, nah, I want like something fresh for the new year. Let me pull from the Rebecca Campbell Work Your Light deck. If anyone has that deck, it's like a pink, bright light deck. And then I was like, no, I started shuffling the cards and I pulled 3 cards and I was like, not feeling it. So a reminder again to trust your intuition because I went back to the Call Out Baron Reed Enchanted Map deck and that's where the card came from for today. If you did follow me on Instagram, you would have seen over the last few days, I took 10 days off. I took the first week of January off. It was amazing. I do a lot of business work and business planning, but I don't take any clients. So a lot of you would have still seen me working, but I still call it off. End of year, start of year, goal planning, business planning, courses. It was really nice. But I'm taking a tarot class from Denise. And Denise is the wonderful lady that I had a psychic reading with this year. She is the grateful messenger. I still can't sing her praises enough, but she had a tarot course that I did a few months back and I haven't had time to watch the recording. So I watched the recording and I'm now learning the tarot. So I feel very comfortable with Oracle. I feel very connected with my decks, but I want to learn tarot or tarot. I've heard it said both ways. So I'm going to be learning that and going through each cards. First, you have to learn the major arcana. So it was a really, really nice course. It's nice to learn something new. It was nice to be a student. It was nice to be the person watching a replay. So reminder, if you have any replays, watch them. Put your jammies on, sit in bed, grab a tea, and it's really, really nice. Okay, getting to the first card of the year. Can you tell I haven't done a podcast in a few weeks? I'm so chatty and I have so much to say sitting here by myself in this room. So the first card of 2023 is card 30, Making a Choice. Making a choice. You're reminded to come to a decision now. You're faced with a dilemma or a fork in the road and must make a conscious choice regarding the next right action. Whatever that choice is, you must take responsibility for it, yet you needn't be afraid. You may not have all the answers right now because the way ahead can't be known until you've embarked and traveled a few steps. Trust your intuition. Ask for a sign from spirit and you will be led to the right path. If you remain conscious and aware, your choice will be the right one at this time. Life is always about learning. Success lies in choosing consciously, guided by intuition and spirit. So that card might be for you whenever you listen to this episode. If it is, take it. If it isn't, leave it. So it's so funny. Archie has been like crying on the couch for the past few days and just like staring into the abyss. And I was just like, why are you crying? Like, is there something wrong? Do I have to call the vet? And finally today I was like looking and I was like, what are you crying at? And I have this like bright neon golf ball sitting on my bookshelf. And he was sitting there looking at it, crying for the past like 4 days. So I finally gave him the golf ball, of course, when I decided to record the podcast. And he is having the time of his life throwing this golf ball around. Archie is my dog. He's a little 7-pound Yorkie. And he's so cute. But it's so annoying because I'm trying to record. But I'm happy I didn't end up taking him to the vet and being like, he's been crying and I don't know why. He just wanted the golf ball. So a happy new year, Midlers. Happy 2023. I don't know how you guys feel about January, but it might be because I own a business. It's a very fresh start, new calendar year. I feel very complete, doing end of year for last year, starting and planning and manifesting for the new year. I also really like taking the first week of January off. I've been doing that for the last few years. Just gives me a time to reset my batteries, rest. Did a lot of resting. I didn't make a lot of plans with friends. I didn't do a lot. I didn't leave my house very much. But I feel like a full battery. I feel recharged. I feel like my energy is back. I was running on fumes at the end of December, and it just highlights how important self-care is, how important your energy is, and I need to get better at that. I wrote it down in my goals, so I will be taking time off once a quarter, once every 3 months, and I'm going to go somewhere. I'm going to get into a plane, and I'm going to go somewhere. That's my goal, because I've been grinding for years, and that's not sustainable, right? Obviously, when you're building a business, you're working a lot. You're working hard. There's not a lot of time off. There's not a lot of flexibility. But I need to get better at that. We are 2.5 years in, so we need to get some flexibility. And if I'm only going to have 1 day off a week, I'm going to go somewhere once a quarter. So that's my goal. Hold me to it. I've already booked the flights for Q1. Just trying to figure out where I'm going to go for Q2. But that is one of my biggest goals for the new year. Last year, all my goals were money goals, very Capricorn, very checkmark, must attain these things. But then once you get all of those things, it's like, well, now what? And this year, my word is enjoyment. I want to enjoy life. I want to really slow down and take the time. And I do enjoy life, but I feel like I'm always on the go. I'm always in a rush. I'm always super busy. I'm always on the grind. And slowing down is okay. So I have a feeling that this year I'm going to prioritize experiences over money, because for the past few years it's like, well, why have a day off when I could take 3 clients? Or why have a weekend off when I could do another Reiki training? I feel that shifting this year. So if you haven't finished your goals, don't put pressure on yourself. I find it's an entire month thing. I like to start between Christmas and New Year's, and I work on them all month. Every time I get some inspiration. And I did a whole goals workshop in December, so I'm not going to bore you with that here. But the one thing I will say before I move on from this is make sure you like your goals. Don't write down that you want to exercise 5 days a week if you hate exercising. Make sure you like your goals and ask yourself why you want those goals. If you want to diet and exercise because you want to be healthier for your grandkids so you can live longer, well, that is your goal. I want to be the best, healthiest version of myself so I can live longer. Okay, I'm not getting into a goal session. You guys know I'm obsessed with that, but we're getting into this week's episode. Finally, the longest intro ever. I promise you this year, all intros will not be 20 minutes long. Okay, so a quick recap. In episode 1, I shared my first experience with spirit. So this was when I was at my crystal healing course and I was driving to Joe's house. Joe was my ex-fiance, and I was saying, hey, at your mom's house, there's this picture of this man. We have to go find the picture of this man. This is what it looks like. This is what he's wearing. This is the hat. And we go to the house, we find the photo, and it ends up being this whole thing. If you want to know the whole story, go re-listen to episode number 1. Then in episode 6, I talk about all the weird things that happened before that first big experience. So there's a bunch of things that happened in between my Reiki level 1 and my Reiki level 2 course when I took them that were just odd, like things with kids, things with names, and kind of some weird experiences. And then I have future episodes as well where I talk about, like, I've worked in haunted hotels before, weird things that used to happen when I used to talk about supernatural things, watching, Teresa Caputo's show on TV and then the TV shutting off or the lights flickering. Like, I talk about all those kinds of things in previous episodes. So if you're interested, go back to the beginning, re-listen to those 2, pause, and then come back. But this was before Reiki level 1, before anything happened, and I didn't even know it was mediumship. It took me probably years. I think I had this aha moment a few years ago where I was like, oh my gosh, that was actually the first time that I was trying to be communicated. That spirit was trying to communicate with me, but I just thought I was actually losing it. Okay, I'm going to have to use some dates for this to make sense because there's a few players in the game that we need to introduce again for this story to make sense. So if you've been around since episode 1, you know that I used to be engaged, and the fake name that I've given to this man is Joe. But the man that I dated before Joe, we'll call him Gary. We'll call him Gary. So Gary was a man that I dated before Joe for 3 years. You just need to know this, okay? My dating history. So it is the year 2017. So we're jumping forward. 2017, and I was working at Lululemon still, and I started to dream about Gary. And in these dreams, we were always in a car rushing to the hospital. And they started to happen like 4 times a week. And I mean vividly dreaming where I would wake up in a panic. I would wake up breathing very heavily. And I didn't understand why I was having all these dreams. I come to find out that Gary, his brother, passed away. So Gary had a brother who was younger than him. His brother passed away. And in these dreams, we were always rushing to the hospital to go see his brother. So once I found out that his brother had passed away, obviously I messaged him. I sent my condolences to the families, but the dreams didn't stop. And it was about 9 months of dreaming about Gary 4 to 5 times a week that I finally messaged him, and I was like, hey, like, is everything okay? I've just been having dreams about you, and I don't think I said it was about his brother because obviously I felt super weird. And he was super nice. He was like, hey, Steph, like, good to hear from you. Like, yeah, I'm fine. No. Like, how are you? Like, very passive. And I was like, okay, like, he seems fine. I'm just going to, like, leave this man alone. And then it would be 3 more months of dreaming about him and his brother. So I'd message him again on Facebook. Hey, Gary, like, how you doing? You're still in my dreams. I don't know. I just feel like I need to reach out to you. Is everything okay? I don't really know. And he's like, yeah, I'm fine, Steph. How are you? Like, again, very casual. And then the third time, it was again months later, dreaming about this man 4 to 5 times a week. And we're always rushing to the hospital to go see his brother. I was like, something is wrong. I need to reach out to him. I woke up thinking about him, and I was just like, something is wrong. So then I messaged him one more time, and I kept telling my friends, guys, I'm crazy. I'm reaching out to this guy like years after we've broken up. Like, this is 4 or 5 years after we've broken up. I'm like, I'm feeling like a crazy person. And I'm like, but my dreams are really concerning me. And finally, on the last time, he was like, oh, Steph, I'm fine. How are you? He's like, if you were messaging me, he doesn't sound like that. I don't know why I'm making my voice go up. And he's like, like, if you messaged me a year ago about this, like, yeah, things were rough when everything was happening with my brother, but now I'm feeling a lot better. I'm in a better place, yada, yada, yada. And I didn't want to say like, well, I've been having these dreams for a year. It just took me 9 months to message you. But it was this nagging feeling that I had to reach out to him. And I think now it's because he either never made it to the hospital to see his brother or he never got to say goodbye, because there's this feeling of us rushing to the hospital and we never made it on time. Every single dream, we never made it to the hospital in time. At the time, I just thought I was losing my mind. I was like, why am I dreaming about my ex-boyfriend so much? Why am I dreaming about his brother that's passed away? Why am I waking up in a panic every morning? And the dreams were vivid. I woke up like breathing heavy, not hyperventilating, but like oh wait, yeah, that was a dream. Okay. Whew, whew, whew. And it took me 10 to 15 minutes every morning to come down from this dream and this experience. And I remember talking to my friends being like, guys, the dreams won't stop. I'm like, it's the same dream. We're rushing to the hospital. What do I do? Do I message him? Do I, write it in a journal and burn it? Like, what do I do? And I remember just feeling like I was losing my mind. And no one wants to message their ex, especially years later, especially about a sensitive topic. And it was so interesting because now, obviously, I know that was my first experience with spirit. And it was his brother trying to get a message to him that I will never deliver, obviously. But it was his brother trying to communicate with me in order for me to tell Gary, it's okay that you never made it. It's like, I understand that you were trying to get to me. It's okay that you never got to say goodbye, all of those things. But the feeling of it was anxiety, overwhelm, confusion, those vivid dreams over and over and over again. And obviously I had no boundaries back then. So I didn't know like, hey, this is spirit trying to communicate with me. I should set some boundaries so that they stop. No. So just very, very interesting how this can all start. And this was probably about 6 months before I took my Reiki level 1. Yeah, I would say between 6 months and a year before I took my Reiki level 1. So that would have been before episode 1, before the first time. So this all still happened in like a 2-year period. But I wanted to share that as my first story of 2023 because things don't make sense in the moment. For when I was dreaming about Gary's brother over and over and over again, I thought I was a Looney Tune. I thought I was losing it. I didn't know what was wrong with me. I was like, why am I vividly dreaming about rushing to the hospital every single night? And now, it literally took me years to remember that story, number one, and then to piece it all together. I'm like, oh my gosh, that was my first connection with spirit when they were trying to contact someone through me. That's obviously happened many, many times since then, and now I know what it is. But at that time, I had no idea what it was. So I wanted to share that story as vulnerable as it is because I know this is going to help somebody and I know someone needs to hear about it. And I know this will make you feel seen and heard if this has happened to you or if this is happening to you now. Dreams are a way that spirit can communicate. Absolutely. Your subconscious mind is much easier to access than your conscious mind that's always thinking like, is this fake? Did I make this up? So really pay attention to your dreams and if you're remembering them, because that was a big thing for me. I remembered the dreams every single time when I woke up. And it would be like a 15-minute session of like, is that real? Was that real? Am I here? Where am I? What was I dreaming about? Who's here? And it really, really was very emotional. It was a lot to handle. I felt very overwhelmed. Now I know when that happens, I'm like, hey, spirit, leave me alone. I'm sleeping. Like, you're not allowed to do that. But this was a probably like 9-month experience where I didn't know what was going on. So as you guys know, I do mentorship. I have for the past, year and a half-ish. And a lot of the mentees that are coming to me are having experiences, not exactly like this, but hey, can you help me explain this? Can you help me figure out this? Can you help me understand why my intuition is doing this? So I want to share as many of these stories as I can to help you and maybe connect the dots and be relatable because our intuitions are strong. Energy is real. It cannot be ignored. And this is something that's massive, right? Like this started something that changed my life 6 years ago. And just to give you some context, if anyone is a new listener, I am 33 years old. This all started to happen in 2017, 2018. So I was 27, 28, right at the start of my Saturn return. And my Saturn return rocked me and it completely changed my life. I did a 180 where, if you've listened to the podcast, I ended up, obviously breaking up with Joe, moving across the country, moving to Banff, changing my career, changing where I lived. I went from living in $1 million home to a basement bedroom, and I had never been happier in my whole life. So lots changed. I realized I could communicate with spirit. I took my Reiki course. I loved doing Reiki and healing work. Like everything started to open up. Everything. But in hindsight now, I'm like, yeah, let me tell you this story. At the time, it was so overwhelming. So overwhelming. I felt crazy. I didn't want to talk to anybody about it. I was like, this is wild. Who's messaging their ex about their brother that's passed away, that's coming to them in their dreams? Like, who am I? Now I'm like, oh, I get it. So I hope that story helps someone listening and helps you feel seen and heard and understood. You are not alone. It's probably just spirit trying to get a message across. Don't recommend reaching out to the ex, but figure out the link, figure out the communication, and things get much more clear as you continue on your journey. That's what I have for you for the first episode of the year. I am excited for the brand new year. I'm excited for all the things coming. I do want to do more interviews on the podcast this year, so you can expect that kind of conversation type podcasts. It'll be nice to, discuss new things, hear other people's perspectives. So if you have any ideas, I am all ears. You can always message me on Instagram or email me or contact me through my website. As a reminder, all bookings are done through my website, themediuminthemiddle.com. I'm booking into March right now, so please book in advance. If you are in the area in Banff, Alberta, come see me in real life. I also do in-person sessions. If you want to register for Reiki Level 1 in March or Reiki Level 2 in February, I will leave all those links down below in the show notes. If you haven't already, please leave this podcast a rating and a review wherever you are listening. I promise it'll take less than 25 seconds of your time, but it will really help this podcast grow and reach new people, and it's an amazing way to support this podcast. So thank you for doing that. But we are back to our regular scheduled programming. I will be releasing new episodes every Wednesday. So until next week, Middlers, when I see you in your ears, I hope you have a wonderful week. Bye, everybody.